Hey everybody, I am Daniel, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review and a little bit of advice if you are planning on going to the Origin camp in Maine. This is the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Immersion Camp, and well, my review first is going to be, it is awesome. It's a beautiful lake in a beautiful area. It is west of Augusta, Maine. You sleep in a cabin that is it's group sleep, so it's bunk beds and stuff like that. There's facilities there, water and flushing toilets and all of that stuff. There's 3 training sessions a day. I went for 4 days, 3 nights. There's training sessions 3 times a day. The instructors there are really awesome. There were some instructors there that I had never heard of before that ended up being super awesome. There was notably Andre de Deco Almeida. That guy I've never heard of before in my life, and he hung around with a guy named, I think it was Rafael and Alexei, and those guys were awesome. They just had like their little clique, and I think that I'm pretty sure they're all De La Riva black belts, but man, they are hilarious. They run around and they just kind of tell jokes and do all of this stuff, but when you look at De Deco, you look at him and you're like, man, that guy does not look like an athlete whatsoever. But one thing that I learned early on from Glenn is if you want to learn the most efficient way to do something, look at a guy who's out of shape and see how he's doing it. If it's effective for him, it's certainly going to be more effective for somebody that's in shape. But anyway, those guys were awesome. They taught some really cool stuff. Another instructor that I had never heard of is Gustavo Dantas. Gustavo Dantas has the BJJ Mental Coach podcast, which is a great podcast, but the dude is just an awesome dude. And he not only taught us how to do jiu-jitsu, he also taught us a lot about our mental aspect of jiu-jitsu, about performance anxiety and the dark passenger who keeps talking in your ear and says, hey, you're not good enough. Hey, you're not strong enough. Why are you doing this? You should just quit and all of this stuff. And then just putting that dark passenger to the side and defeating that dark passenger in everything he says every day. That part was awesome. Of course, you have the infamous Jocko Willink, who was also a really good instructor, by the way. Really good instructor. And then my personal favorite, Dean Lister. Dean Lister was super awesome. One thing about Dean, if you want to get the most, I would say, out of your money, out of your time with Dean, is come to him with things that you're having problems with. So Dean is, as Jocko says, the Jiu-Jitsu Rain Man. So, he can watch you and pick out every little thing that you're doing wrong and tell you how to make it right again. It was fantastic. The instructors were fantastic. The scene was fantastic. Whenever you go there, your laundry service for your gis is covered. Your meals are covered. Your room and board are covered. And then, of course, all of the instructors and stuff are covered. So that, for when you pay for 4 days, 3 nights, it's going to cost about $1,000, which is no chump change. I mean, I am a pretty cheap guy, and I'm pretty frugal. Which comes into the next thing. One thing you may not expect is, so you pay $1,000 for the camp, okay? And then you pay a few $100s for a rental car, and then you pay a few $100s for your flight. And then if you want to stay an extra day and kind of explore the area or do whatever, then it's pretty expensive there, really, to stay. I spent like $140 on Expedia for a night in Days Inn in Augusta, and it was sold out. Like, I bought it pretty far in advance, but when I got there, it was sold out. And I asked the guy at the desk how often they were sold out, and he said the majority of the time, all of the hotels in Augusta are sold out. And I can tell you for a fact when I was there that all of the hotels in Portland were sold out. All of them were sold out. So that's something, if you're going to be on your way and you plan on spending the night before or the night after you leave camp, book in advance and expect to spend a lot of money. In Portland, it was even more expensive than Augusta, and some of the guys that I was with, or I met on the plane, because you can see, like, when you're on the plane, you see those guys, and you're like, that's a guy, and he knows you're a guy too, so you just start talking. And some of those guys were paying like $280 a night. That is for a single person. It's much more expensive there than here in the U.S. So as far as budget-wise, just for the trip, if you're gonna do 4 days, 3 nights, budget $2,000 total. If you're gonna do the full week, which is $1,800, if you're gonna do the full week, then I would go ahead and budget $3,000 for the trip, just to be safe on that. So here's some advice if you're gonna go to the camp. Number 1, how many geese should you bring? This is a question that I heard from, well, all of us that were first timers at the camp. And the answer to that for me is 1. How is that possible? How are you gonna bring 1 gi? There's 3 sessions a day for 4 days. How are you gonna bring 1 gi? Well, I'll tell you. 1 is they have a laundry service. You drop off your laundry, you put your cabin number in there, and your name, and your laundry comes back to you. It's no big deal. You hang it up on the drying rack and it's no big deal. But here's the other thing. There is, excuse me, a massive fringe benefit to going to the Origin Immersion Camp, and that is the pro shop. In the pro shop, they have huge discounts on factory seconds for Origin merchandise. And the quality control of Origin is like second to none. All of my gis, I have no idea why they were factory seconds, and they are at a massive discount. I am talking for rash guards, $15. I'm talking for the if you buy a gi top and it is like the Complete or Discipline Equals Freedom gi, $50 for the top. Pro pants, $50. It's for the Rift gi or the Axiom for the top, $75. So bring some extra money and just buy a couple of gis when you're there. Like they have so much stuff in the pro shop, and they want to get rid of it all because they bring all of this stuff to the camp. They don't want it hanging out there. They don't want to bring it back to the factory. They want it all sold out. Another thing is, if you go the second half, so there's an A and a B, or you can do A and B. If you go to the B, you're not just going to lose out on all of the deals in the pro shop. They have it set up where when you go and you're in the B group, which I was actually in the A group, but I heard that in the B group, then they put out new merchandise so that you're not just picking through stuff that's already been gone through by everybody else, and all of the best stuff is picked out. They have new stuff to bring in for the B group, and they have a ton of stuff there to buy. So bring extra money to buy extra gis. So number 2, bring earplugs or earbuds. Why? Okay, so I spent 9 years in general population in my fire stations, multiple fire stations. I am used to guys coming in and out, snoring, all of the things that go with that. And I'm telling you right now, there is a lot of snoring. There is a lot of going in and out at all times of the night, which we'll go into the next thing. But bring something to block out the noise from other people getting there. Otherwise, you will get, pretty much literally no sleep. Also, here's the thing that was unexpected. So I expected the snoring. I expected to get woken up though. But if you were an alumni of the 2019 Origin Camp, you'll know what I'm talking about. 0-100. There's like trap music going on. Starts at after midnight and goes till I don't even know what time in the morning. I was unprepared for this. Luckily, I kept my earbuds from the plane, so I just played classical music in my ears the whole night to block out the extra noise. And you know what? If you are alumni, I will leave the link in the description to that song so you can reminisce on being up all night with that song. Anyway, the sleep thing. Okay, so expect to get basically no sleep. Okay, for the for the 3 nights and 4 days that I spent there, you know, I'm talking maybe 5 hours total over the 3-night period. And that was just because, like I said, snoring in and out, trap music at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, all of those things. Plus, you know, guys, including myself, get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, go work out. And so I got up, I was sleeping terrible anyway, and I would get up and go work out and, you know, get my morning stretch out and get ready for the day. But you're, of course, exhausted at night because, man, it's 3 jiu-jitsu sessions a day and all you can roll. You know, there's always going to be somebody that's willing to roll with you. So, man, just expect to be like dog tired. There is a day in between the A and B session that's kind of a dead day where you can go and explore or do whatever you want. But they also have like guys hanging out that will just put on like impromptu classes. And these are legit dudes. Like James Klingerman was doing it on the dead day whenever I was there, and that dude is awesome. He's got an awesome story. Got shot in the face. Still does jiu-jitsu, still does really well. It's a super awesome thing. I would say my advice is make every training session that you can. Every training session that I went to, I learned something that I implemented into my game. And even if you are dog tired and you don't want to roll or anything else, make the sessions. Make the sessions. You will learn something, or come up with a question that you can ask the instructor that's going to help you out with your game. Let's see. Wear earplugs, make every training session, expect expensive hotels. Everything is a lot more expensive there than the Midwest. You may be used to that because you may live in San Diego or the Northeast anyway, but it's a lot more expensive. Okay, so here's probably it looks like my last bit of advice, and that is, don't blow out all your energy on the first night. That first night, man, I was jacked up, dude. I was like, yes, this is amazing. This is like heaven. So I get out there, and I'm just like, oh, man, I gotta roll. And so after we got done with our class, man, I'm just rolling with everybody that I can, and I don't even know what time of the night I rolled until, but I mean, you can literally pretty much roll all night. I even cut myself off, but I went to bed so exhausted, and then, like I said, with the lack of sleep and everything else, you know, whatever. I won't make that mistake again. Run the marathon. Don't blow yourself out, especially if you're staying the week. If you blow yourself out that first day, man, you are going to be miserable for the rest of the week. Just pace yourself. It's a marathon. Get through it. Anyway, this is a little bit longer than I was expecting to make it. If you have questions about the Origin camp that I may be able to answer, like I said, last year was my only year, or my first year to go. I will go again. It won't be this year. I only take one jiu-jitsu trip a year, and this year I'm planning on going to TriStar Gym in Canada. We'll see how that works out. I don't know with this whole COVID thing how that's going to work. Regardless, that's a total aside. I would definitely go again. If you can afford $2 to $3 grand on a trip, you know, go. That's it. That's it, man. If you remember me from last year, holler at me. If not, if you just want to see the Brazilian trap video, go click on the comments below. All right, guys, we'll see you later.
We're right.
Hard work,
Hard work. Here we go.
Hard work,
with the sun.